Welcome to the story of Everyman. We're going to jump right into it. Let me start by saying, how can John give any type of information on relationships? If you know John, he sucks at relationships. I mean, my history in terms of romantic relationships is awful. Awful. I have had a history of just infidelity in relationships. I've been the villain in many of my relationships, and it's been a struggle for me to try to understand what it is like to have a healthy relationship. I've recently, probably in the last 2.5 to 3 years, kind of really understood the pain that I've caused people
Yeah.
in relationships, the families that I've caused damage to,
Yeah.
like healthy family relationships who now have trust issues because of my behavior, not necessarily just mine alone, but
Yeah.
I played a role in that. Took a long time or a lot of self reflection to really kind of figure out what it is that I'm doing and really try to get my life back on track in that aspect.
Hmm.
I really want to focus a lot on what it is that we look for. I mean, isn't that what life is about anyways?
Right.
Right? Relationships.
Well, I've been married for 2 years. I've been in a relationship for almost 7 years now with the same person. Before that, I was kind of in the same situation. I was young, dumb, went through several different relationships, did some awful things. They did some awful things, but I mean, I feel like that was lessons learned. I feel like it's super important to always conversate, have open communication about everything, being honest within that communication. It just opens doors for all kinds of things, intimacy, loyalty. Great that you're being honest too about it, because I feel like we've all made mistakes in relationships, but I think it's just an opportunity for growth.
I think I spent a long time just hiding from myself.
Yeah.
I guess is the best word to say. For a long time, I knew what I did was wrong, but I still did it.
Yeah.
Then for some time, I felt like, well, if I'm honest with the other person that that's all I want, then that was okay.
Yeah.
But I still like it's just not
Yeah.
cool.
I've been in my first relationship for almost 2 years, and it's been good. We'll probably end up getting married and engaged sometime in the next 2 years.
Matt, how old are you, Matt?
27.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive.
So he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be happy the rest of his life, is what he's saying. No,
Yeah.
I think relationships, unless you grew up with this person from childhood to adulthood to that next step, because I think all four of us have different childhoods. We all grew up different, and we all have different traumas.
Hmm.
And unless we learn how to deal with those traumas, we hide them, and then we bring them into this relationship, whether it's a friendship or love,
That's truth. Yeah.
and we don't heal, right?
Yes. That's so true.
And then we have these triggers that maybe I don't like the way she eats, smacks her food, the way she sleeps at night, and these triggers just build up over time till we get to the point where we can no longer deal with them. So we're gonna find someone else that's gonna not chew her food as loud as her, not spray as much perfume as this person
Yeah.
does.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
I definitely agree with that. My biggest piece of advice for young people in relationships is if you're not happy without the relationship, you're not going to be happy once you have a relationship.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I could spin off that too and say, there's been a few traumas that I've been through that I've brought into my current relationship, and it's helped me grow, and my partner has helped me and stuck by my side during those traumas. And so I think that's important too, is if you bring all this trauma and this baggage, the person that you're going to be with is going to be accepting of that too, and take that on. So I think that's important.
We're gonna kind of dive into like things that make relationships successful. Let's start there. For me, self-love, being able to love yourself before you're able to love anybody else. If you're trying to start a relationship with someone and you don't fully understand who you are
Yeah.
or love yourself with the way that you are in any given time, it is going to be difficult to share love with another
Yeah,
person because you're
absolutely.
missing something. You're
Mhm.
missing something before you're walking into something
Yep.
else.
I mean, I believe that. Before I met my significant other, I was, coming out of a relationship, and I just, people usually do the rebound thing with someone else, or like hop on Facebook, hop on, social media, rebound somebody this. And I just finally was like, you know what, I'm going to focus on myself. And when I focused on myself, I wasn't looking for anybody. And this person just walked into my life. And so sometimes it happens like that. When that person came into my life, I loved myself. I was ready to accept this new relationship. I also think that communication is very important. If I don't have any communication with you, it's not going to work out for me because I already talk a lot. I want to be able to sit on a couch with you and just have real life conversations with you. And a lot of people in relationships can't do that. Communication is key.
And we're not God, right? Because God so loved the world, He gave His Son.
Yeah, definitely.
We're the opposite of that. Like we don't love ourselves, and then people think if you love yourself, then it's selfish.
Right.
When it's the opposite. But that's just kind of what we're trained to think. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're full of yourself. By not loving myself, is I put so much pressure on my partner that I depend on her to not only love herself, but love herself enough for me to love her.
Yeah.
So that's not fair for the other person either, because you're putting these unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I
on
think
someone
so.
else.
What I mean by that, and I'm I still struggle with that. Like, do I fully love
Yeah.
myself? Like, am I ready to give to another person?
Yeah.
Part of that is accepting or taking responsibility for what it is that you have done in your life before
Yeah.
you can give away to
Absolutely.
others. I
Yeah.
think that's part of self-love is becoming whole again. Some people might misinterpret that as, oh, so you're fully yourself or being
Yeah.
cocky. No, it's I got to be me before I can give any to you.
Absolutely.
For you, what's one of them, Matt?
Probably having a shared set of like goals and a real direction for the relationship. That way you're not just wandering aimlessly together. You both have an understanding about the nature of your relationship, why you two want to be together,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and not just we'll just be together until it becomes inconvenient because our paths split ways.
Do you think like shared goals is organic, or do you already go into a relationship saying these are my goals, and if you're not meeting them, you
I
cast
think
off,
I
or-
think it's probably a combination of both. You already have an idea of the direction that your life is going in,
Right.
and if that can involve another person, that's a good thing. The opposite of that, or the other aspect of that, is you don't just go into the relationship without planning things out. I think you're going to be together for 40 years, hopefully, or more. When you have a shared set of like an understanding with somebody else, then you understand why they're upset when they're upset.
Do you think it's important to kind of explore that early on in the relationship?
I think that
Or-
should almost be the first conversation you
Absolutely.
have. Most people,
What are your goals?
they start with, oh, is there chemistry? Is it even worth exploring if there's chemistry? Because if they don't check enough of your boxes, you can
Matthew's standards are so high.
without even
anyways.
talking to them, you can pretty well write them off. And that might be an
Absolutely.
oversimplification, but
Yeah.
most people do have certain expectations about.
That's true. Yeah.
But
And-
there's also that, I could change him mentality.
Oh, that is a scary
Yeah.
Well,
thought.
That is
I
a
actually
scary thought.
don't have that much of a problem with that. I think you can. I think you kind of can change people a little bit, but you should not expect that.
Yeah.
I agree that you shouldn't expect that.
I won't
Yeah.
say either way, but I'm saying that's a very scary.
I'm a pretty honest person. I haven't been the perfect person in a relationship. I get super angry. It's just some of the, childhood trauma, we talk about, and I get angry super easily. My partner is the complete opposite. Positive and happy and almost just like perfect. And it balances that out for me.
I think that's one of the examples of like the opposites, like figuring out that you like the opposite of who you are.
Go back to Genesis, Adam and Eve. Like, obviously, Adam and Eve were not on the same page about
Right. Absolutely.
just the very only thing that they were commanded not to do. They were just one thing they
Yeah.
couldn't agree on. We were meant to not agree on everything from the
Absolutely.
very, very beginning
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah, I wanted
Oh.
to say one other thing about having a shared set of goals, which is a lot of times the reason for breakups in relationships is because people have those expectations
Yeah.
and then they're not met.
That is true.
So so often you hear like, "Oh, we broke up because I don't make enough money for her." That is the most common reason for breakups, I think.
So that's why I'm saying that early on in a relationship, look for those things. Like within the
Yeah,
first
but-
few months.
I
Like,
Yeah,
mean, but
but-
sometimes you just can't see that yet.
And you, as you grow old, you change the way you think. You change the way you feel.
That's when you sit down early on and say, hey, like, I don't know what my long-term goals are, but are you going to be here?
what if that person says, I don't know what my goals are yet? I think that kind of rolls back to what is your intention in dating? Just for casual purposes?
Back then, when I was young, I was not thinking about long-term goals. I think that's what's so good about having young relationships. I know not everybody will agree at this table, but it does help you grow into, the person that you want to become in future relationships.
I mean, you hear a lot about like this person just changed in our relationship and I don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah.
When you set your goals, try to keep them as simple as possible. Don't overcomplicate them.
So back to like what are some things that make successful relationships? For me, another one was honoring your partner. I think that to be able to honor that individual when they're just as intently as they are as if they were in the room with you.
Basically,
that's-
don't disrespect your significant other. It reflects very poorly on you when
Yeah.
you don't have respect for your significant other.
I
And
was
others-
just
and
about to say
others-
it just comes down to respect.
One of the biggest things I think where things go south is like coveting. Like I think we live in a world where we covet what we see on social media, and biblically it's like coveting your neighbor's wife, right?
Yeah.
Thou shalt not. But it doesn't say anything about coveting your own wife. Like you should want to
Yeah, you should be jealous for your
exactly.
own
You
wife.
should want to covet what's yours. And I think we missed that part when it says thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife.
So I said, honoring. What are some other things that make successful relationships?
I was on the, topic of loyalty. So, just being loyal to your partner.
That's
Yeah.
huge. And what does that mean to be loyal to your partner? What?
That just means in general, like, don't cheat. Social media, I know that's a big thing.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm with a girl, like I'm dating this woman, and she says, and this other lady says, I want to, visit with you about something, and she says, I'm uncomfortable with that. What do you respond to that?
You have to respect it. I feel like maybe you could ask questions. If your partner is uncomfortable with that, you have to respect that. And it shows loyalty. Yeah,
Ultimately, out of respect, okay, you don't agree with it, I'm with you on this one. Unless you've been with this person your whole life, it all goes back to their previous relationship.
Yeah.
We're bringing,
absolutely.
as a home builder, we're bringing old bricks from an old house to build something new, and it's never going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to go back and be like, okay, I get it because your last relationship, I understand why you feel that way, but let me prove to you why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And at that point, you turn it around.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to like you got to work on you before you jump into something else,
Absolutely.
which people don't do.
No.
Oh man, people don't do. What are some things that break down relationships? I'm gonna jump into like the big one, social media. So the top three platforms that come up when we're talking about breaking up relationships is Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. When it comes to Snapchat,
Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
yeah, the absolute
yeah.
objective of that platform
Is sneaky. So a lot of the girls that work for me are super young, and so they're into all the social media, and I'm getting older and I'm like, I don't know what this is. They're like, oh yeah, you can hide this. I don't know. I'm like, that is some sneaky stuff.
I think a lot of it is validation because we're taught to like love other things besides ourselves. So whenever we post a picture, the first thing we do is how many likes do we get?
Yeah.
Or oh, I didn't get 10 likes in 5 minutes. I'm deleting it because it's stupid.
Yeah.
And then what that does to our self-esteem. Not every person that has that has Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat.
It goes back to like the loyalty, the honoring. And
The respect.
That's why for me that app specifically is like, why do you even have it?
I was at a point in my life recently to where I'm like, okay, if it doesn't bring value to me, because I would get on there and I would stress out and I would type things, politics or religion or just arguments, and I would just catch myself, you know what, deleting it. But I just wasted a whole minute trying to come up with the response, right? And I'm just fuming. And then I was like, you know what, this doesn't add value to me personally. I just got off Facebook completely, and then I catch myself like just clicking on the blue icon, and it's nothing, but it's just we're just so like addicted, and we're just a habit to I do it still, like I still have the icon and I'll click on it and it's like nothing, like, and then I'll like, oh, when I know that I don't have it, but it's still there in the back of my mind.
They know how to get to you.
They know
how to get to you.
We're programmed to.
I feel like social media is just not a good thing for relationships if you are not responsible with it.
I think that's the key word, like being responsible
with your social media.
Or you haven't posted me in a week.
Yeah.
Or Lewis hasn't posted his girlfriend in a week. I wonder what's going on. I wonder if they're having issues. Ooh, let me see.
Yeah.
Hey, Lewis, hope everything's okay. That's how it starts.
It is, yeah.
You know, and it's just, maybe I'm just private, but it all about your intent and how you use it. You could use it to run your business and prosper, or you could use it to tear each other down and
and end up getting divorced over Facebook.
I think
Messenger
Facebook
or something.
Isn't Facebook like 90% of divorces have
I believe it.
Facebook in their filing?
I've been in court personally where they would take pictures from Facebook and bring, Your Honor, this was posted on Facebook. Yeah. This was him doing this. This was her doing that. This is blah blah blah.
Yeah. What are some other things that break down relationships?
Unrealistic expectations. When I hear other people say that they just, went on a date with somebody, or, they like such and such person, but they just can't get over this one thing. When I hear it, I'm like, that's a really stupid expectation. Like,
and then that's the basis for the ending of the relationship.
That's just it. It's like, this is a great person and you just gave up because of nothing. And one other thing I wish I would have said under, things that are good for a relationship. I think the biggest one is compromise. You should never settle. You should never compromise in a relationship. But I think the whole point of a relationship is to compromise. You're building your life around this person. You're going to have to give things up. The more that you give up, the more stable the relationship will be.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, back to your scenario, we live in a red flag world now. Everything's a red flag.
Everything.
Red flag. Red flag. It's a walking red flag. I'm at so many red flags, I feel like I'm at the carnival. Like, everything's a red flag now. You literally can't make a mistake because it's a red flag. So what do? You find someone else that has lists. This guy had 9, this guy has 8. And then hopefully you can find one that's got something that you can live with and overlook.
Yeah.
And in reality, we're humans, right? And we say things and we do things that you may not agree with and you may not like. He chews with the mouth open. Red flag. Oh, girl, that's a red flag right there. And also too, back to it's who's in your circle. Like, are you taking advice from people that have been married for 20, 30 years?
Right. Absolutely.
Or are you taking advice from your single friends that go out every weekend?
True. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that there'll be people who are like, oh, his views or her views. Oh, red flag, bro. If he's associated with him.
Yeah, I'll never be with him, girl. That's a red flag right there. He said.
To be fair, there are a lot of red flag people out there. There's a lot of very low quality individuals. People are sleeping around more now. People are doing more stupid things.
There's times in your relationship, in your marriage, that things will get boring and things will get hard. What are you going to do about it?
I worked at McDonald's years ago. And that's how I learned the food industry. But think about it. Back then, if you were dating me, girl, he works at McDonald's. What are you doing with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
red flag.
Red flag.
Man.
So
he lives with his parents.
over to her, people in today's culture have made it to where if I'm not comfortable, I'm done. It doesn't matter the amount of investment you had. especially marriages, we treat, and I have this saying that people are more committed to their tattoos than they are to marriages.
Yes.
Like they'll leave, oh,
Uh-uh.
we grew apart. Marriage is supposed to be until when?
Yeah.
Death.
Death. Yet when somebody says, I'm on my fourth marriage, I'm like, bro, major red flag.
That is.
Major red flag. Because
Well, I have advice for that. I feel like if you feel like you're growing apart, and it's going to happen. It's happening. I mean, my mom and dad have been married for going on 35 years. That was my mom's first boyfriend. I take advice from her. They've been in situations where they felt like, hey, this is boring. This is, go do something. Do something that you haven't done for your partner in a while. Go back to old days. Have you brought some flowers? Have you washed the car? Even in nowadays, because people get in relationships and they're like, oh, let's go. Come live with me. Things start to get comfortable. I want to do different things. I want to be adventurous with this person.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'll wait till I'm divorced. Go to the gym and you see single women trying to get in shape for the next man. Why didn't you do it for your current husband? Like, if you know you're out of shape, if you know you're not comfortable with your body now, this guy or this girl invested years in you. Why are you waiting till after it's too late to get in shape, to change your diet?
Maybe you should stop trying to get your body in shape and get your mind in shape. Yeah.
And I think there's, a current backlash to that, both men and women, like that will post about their journey.
Thirst traps.
Yes, and people are like, bro, if you would have done that for your husband, you wouldn't be doing this, right? Like, there's a backlash in that.
Oh yeah, that's for real.
Yeah. Like, there are so many good marriages that get that, like, they end that are absolutely wonderful, and they just grew apart, and that person never finds a stable relationship again. Like, they didn't realize how good that was.
Yeah.
Divorce rate gets exponential every time you get married.
Yeah.
Like, the divorce rate gets higher and higher. When you're thinking about marriage, make sure that's what you want. Like, you're in it for the long run.
I mean, I'm probably one of the least qualified people to be giving advice on
Same.
relationships, because
Dude,
I've been.
When we share this, people will say that about each and every one of us, but that's just the way it is.
I've been
I'm an expert.
through that. I've been through the D word, and maybe something that we say can stick to someone that's listening.
Absolutely.
And be like, you know what, that's right.
My mom and my dad were till death do them part, right? I saw marriage as a once in a lifetime situation.
Yeah.
I was married, and we divorced as a result of my behavior. I don't feel that I want to marry again. I feel like that was my one shot. Part of me died at that divorce.
Yeah.
Regardless of the who's at fault, that was it. And it's hard to date these days because
It is. Yeah.
I don't know how to take that. Like, to marry a second time is hard for me
Yeah.
to even think about.
And that's what he was saying. He was saying, you have that trauma.
Yeah.
And you're going to bring that with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to pray about it.
Right.
And
In reference to relationships, I feel like that was a humongous failure for me. Like,
It's like what God brought together, no man can tear apart, right? It's engraved in every sermon, every wedding, Christian or non-Christian. But what if God didn't bring those two people together? What if that's the reason why it falls apart? We want God to hold something, so we want it to be the glue. Sometimes it's us that want to make something work that's not going to work. We know early on it's not going to work, but we just choose to not.
Well,
let
all
go.
things are done according to God's will. God did bring those two people together
So
in all cases.
it's hardcore for me, right? It's hardcore, right?
Yeah.
Till I take it literally, till death do you part.
yeah.
And my mom, like, when my dad passed away, she never married again.
Yeah.
She still called my dad her husband,
Yeah.
right? Who was passed away
Yeah.
until the day she died.
Things happen,
Yeah.
and we have to forgive ourselves
and we
for
struggle,
those things.
we struggle with that.
And it's awesome that you're super honest about that. I think it shows a lot about who you are, and what you've been through. And I feel like, some of those things that you've talked about, you've just got to ask for forgiveness. And, when the time comes, you'll know. It won't be a question.
When
And
you
that's-
when you know, you know.
When you know, you know.
And that's what's
period.
so that's what's weird. And,
It's okay, John. I know you're crying.
No, I'm not. But who knows, right? The appropriate answer is who knows. I don't feel okay with marrying again.
Yeah. And if that's how you feel now, you don't know what God has in store for you.
Yeah.
I mean, he might bring you somebody and you're going to be like, oh my gosh.
He's going to have to break me for that.
You never know. God is capable of anything.
So if you're listening,
No.
John, and you're not looking for a serious relationship, John's your guy.
No, that is not the case. That's been most of
That's
my...
old John.
That's been the problem. Yeah, that's been the problem
This
my
is
whole
new
life.
John.
Yeah. If you really are looking for a good relationship, a good, healthy relationship, I encourage you to read the book. It's The 5 Love Languages.
Yeah.
The 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
It's written by Dr. Gary Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 books I would recommend are the book of Hosea and the
Okay.
book of Proverbs. I feel like those
Yeah.
are very deep books on what a relationship should be.
So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. We will see you next time on the story of Everyman.